So first, I want to say thank you so much for all coming and giving up your Friday night. I know you've got lots of other places to be. Haha. Not so much, but still really, really grateful to see you all here. Um, this is the first time a group has ever convened, I think, to share moral imaginations. And it's really exciting. It's very exciting to have you all here. I wanted to share just a little tiny bit of framing before we go into another exercise and little thing in using the breakouts. And that was just around thinking about, why are you all here and how has this happened? Just to me, it's interesting to think that it was something intangible. It was an image. It was something in the imaginal realm somehow spoke through all of you or spoke to all of you, and now here we are. And so it's like very beautiful to imagine that the imaginal realm, this kind of shared imagination space, is able to mobilize bodies and able to mobilize the physical realm to do things and to change and to take action. And I guess that's really at the core of what the phrase moral imaginations is all about. It's about the sense that we need to exercise our imaginations almost like a moral responsibility to imagine a better future. So it's not just about, I think imagination and creativity and art has kind of been somewhat stripped of its power in our society. And actually, I think it's really time to reclaim that and to say, this is the moment where we can use the power of story, use the power of framing, use the power of myth. And like as humans, everybody talks about how we're myth-making creatures, and yet we don't engage imaginations actively in the process of kind of world making or creating different futures. So another thing I wanted to say is that to me, the moral imaginations work is about a relationship to the future. It's all about how we get into relationship with a future that wants to be born. And actually, when I'm thinking about telling these stories out of this time, I'm really thinking about the future beings, like the future unborn, all of the people who are yet to be unborn. That in a way, we're doing this for them. We're doing this for people who are not yet with us yet. And yet they depend on the stories we tell right now, and they depend on the things that we do. Mm-hmm. And it's also about a relationship to our future selves. Like, who do we want to be? Who are we called to be in this moment? And how can we cultivate this relationship with actually a person who doesn't exist yet, which is you in the future, but who wants to be born and exist in this moment. I'm loving the note-taking, the live note-taking, thank you. So I also wanted to share, when I wrote this story, I wrote it last weekend, and I was lying on a hammock in the sun. And it just felt important to say that. And as I was writing it, I had this feeling of a story that is not just mine. Like, it's a story that is shared, and it wants to be told. Actually, I just want to say that. And the sense when I think back to the moment of writing this, it was actually on Twitter, which is funny because it's like, how do we reclaim these awful online spaces to be these spaces of imagination and creativity? But as I wrote it, I had this very physical sense of like a very shining feeling of like, we can do this. We can we're in this together, and we want to go somewhere else together. I think about Rumi. Rumi has a quote about don't go back to sleep. That little poem that's about, that repeats, don't go back to sleep. We're moving across the threshold, back and forth across the threshold. I love it so much. I don't have it. I haven't got it to read out, but I think this moment we're in, I think the word liminal space is used a lot, but what does that mean? For me, it means this threshold of like the world that we could live in and the world that we're living in now. And we're moving back and forth when we tell stories, and when we imagine different futures, we're actually kind of moving between realms and worlds. So this is all very, I mean, it's all very trippy, but it's yeah, this is what has really called this moment together. And what else do I want to say? I think I just want to say that in my mind, the thing that we're doing tonight is somehow about creating a mosaic. Like the story that I put out, it was my story, but actually it's creating a seed, like planting a seed. And that what comes out of this, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I haven't really planned, this is not really planned. I don't really know what's going to happen, but that bits of this story, I really have this feeling, live in all of you and live in everybody who responded and wrote and got excited and came alive. And it's a bit like a Horcrux, you know, in Harry Potter. Like to me, it feels like a story that is like distributed in many different people, and the ending of it wants to be written. So the idea of these groups in these next weeks is to come together and to be trying to write the end of the story, and the end of actually, you know, many different stories. It doesn't just have to be this start of this story that we're starting with. But on the theme of seeds, one more thing. I was chatting with Neil just before this, and he offered a very beautiful metaphor, which is in this quarantine time, it's a little bit like we're in the winter period, you know, like we're not able to go out and take action, and it's the moment to be planting seeds. And then, you know, whenever that time is, the spring will be upon us, and we have to think about what are the seeds that really want to sprout in this time. But right now, it's okay to be sleepy. It's okay to be dreaming. Like we're in this kind of dreaming winter time. And it's not really the time to be going out into action.